We're live on DSTV channel 421, Go TV channel 125, on all social media handles and around the world on myjoyonline.com. Coming up in this hour, IMF secures financial assurance from bilateral creditors to aid disbursement of next tranche of cash for Ghana. Details as Economist says the move is a positive signal to unlock $350 million from the IMF. Now, economist Professor Quarami Pim quotes support for the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission as he says the 5.8 million cedis fine on board members of the ECG will send a strong signal to other public servants to take responsibility for their actions. Meanwhile, former Deputy Attorney General Joseph Penka disagrees with the PURC's position on the matter and is out of their mandate. Now, governments
of incorporation and etc., then they lacked jurisdiction to do what they did. And simplicity, whatever they did, they concluded that was null, void,
but
and of no effect.
Our law.
The government sets up a technical committee to resolve concerns over non-payment of Tier 2 pension contributions 48 hours after the teacher unions gave government a one-week ultimatum to pay all their deduction arrears to the fund managers. We have details. All of these and more plus business coming up in the next hour. I'm Mamisi Nyamiche Thompson. Please stay with us. The IMF has revealed that it has secured the required financing assurance from bilateral creditors that will aid the disbursement of some $360 million to Ghana. It follows reports that delays in getting a deal from Eurobond holders and bilateral creditors will affect fresh disbursement to Ghana. Abebe Selassie is head of the African department at the IMF and has been responding to a question posed by Joy Business's George Riafi at the annual IMF World Bank spring meetings.
As of now, there is no MOU with bilateral creditors, but we know that there have been intense discussions in recent weeks, and those are continuing, and we're very hopeful that there will be agreement with bilateral official creditors. To be clear, they have provided financing assurances, though, and that remains in effect, and so we're not envisaging that it will be an issue for our ability to conclude the next review and provide the disbursement that's pending. As we noted, we've reached staff-level agreement, and that's by far the most important component for the review. With respect to commercial creditors, I think we are grateful that the government shared with us some of the terms that were under consideration. Staff has provided an input on whether these terms were consistent with program parameters, and the government has decided that they would not pursue this deal just yet. Again, I think we're very hopeful that there will be movement and that they can reach agreement consistent with the program parameters, helping lower Ghana's debt burden at the right level and avoiding, of course, people of Ghana having to make too much sacrifice.
And you heard Selassie Abebe with the IMF, and we'll touch base with our correspondent George Riafi shortly on updates on that discussion. Meanwhile, economist Professor Lord Mensah says the move by Ghana's bilateral creditors to issue a statement soon on a deal reached over the restructuring of their debts is a positive signal to unlock the $360 million from the IMF. According to him, this will give the confidence needed to ensure the sustainability of the program. He's been speaking to Joy Business.
Yeah, that's a good sign. Having an MOU, gives more or less kind of confidence that there's something on paper that we can rely on. Having an agreement in principle and verbally usually, can change at any point in time. But if you have it on paper and it's agreed by two parties, then obviously we should expect that they will go by the dictates of the MOU. And so from where I sit, it's a good sign, I would say.
We can now go on to Zoom and get details of that IMF meeting with our correspondent George Riafi. George, before we get into the details on this financing assurances, first, the IMF Africa Director says there is no MOU, contrary to earlier reports. Now, help us understand. What's the clarity on this?
Well, Mamisi, if you're getting me, basically what the IMF would always want to work with when it comes to these things is about official communication. and even engaging the mission head for Ghana. As far as they are concerned, they have not received any official email from the official creditor committee about finalizing that deal when it comes to the bilateral agreement. But what we have also picked up earlier that influenced our report from the official creditor committee, that those terms have been finalized and therefore an agreement will be coming out soon. Just even let's cast our mind back. Earlier this month, the IMF MD came to Ghana. We had a roundtable discussion with her, and she said on record that a deal has been reached and an MOU will also be signed very soon. So it appears that for the IMF, they would want to work with an official communication to that effect. And as far as they are concerned, they don't have that, and they wouldn't want to say that a deal has been reached for an MOU to be signed very soon, Mamiesi.
Well, so George, so what does this finance and assurance mean for Ghana's program at the moment?
So first, for the IMF, they are very, very, very tactful when it comes to these things. They need to get an assurance from these bilateral creditors about our program going forward, that they are committed to participating in the restructuring or having their debts that they owe Ghana varied. So what the IMF is saying is that we are not waiting for that final deal to be signed, because it could even having the document ready, even to sign, it could even take a process or go through a process where everyone has to agree to the terms and all those things. And so based on that, with this financing assurance, they are going ahead to go to their management based on us passing the second review. From there, they'll go to their board, likely in June, and having reached that staff level agreement, which is critical, they will push for the board to approve Ghana's program. That is the second review. And then that could lead to the disbursement of some $360 million that could hit Bank of Ghana's account maybe in the first week of July.
So it means it's a done deal for Ghana despite these creditors buying that we need.
You won't call it a done deal. And again, you want to be careful with some of these things, because you don't want the IMF again to come out and say that nothing has happened or this and that.
Right.
It is not a done deal, but the IMF is saying that they have had that communication with that official creditor committee about that financing assurance. They will proceed with what they have, because listen, even going to the management, even reaching a staff level where they have to pass documents around to every board member can delay the process.
Right.
So with this financing assurance, they are going ahead with the process. If the final agreement comes, they'll work with it. If it doesn't come, they'll go ahead and disperse the funds to Ghana. So just want to be very careful with our wording and choice of words here, so the fund doesn't come again and say that, no, nothing has happened and all those things.
Well, George, just before you go, what is the latest on the negotiations with Eurobond holders?
So initially, when Ghana submitted their terms to the commercial Eurobond holders, and then they took it back to the IMF actually rejected the terms. And so everybody thought that there's a deadlock. It's important for us to clarify this, is that what the IMF is looking for to complete a second review that will lead to that $360 million being dispersed is not the agreement to the Eurobond holders. What they are looking for is a deal in principle with the bilateral creditors. But from what we've picked up from meetings that has gone on in Washington, D.C., some progress is being made. Ghana has met the IMF, they've met these institutional investors separately. And what we are picking up is that government is hoping that before they leave Washington, they could have even reached an agreement in principle with these Eurobond holders, so that this is more of trying to prepare for that third and fourth review. And so they think that they could have something in hand before they leave for Ghana.
Grateful for your time here. George Riafe is our correspondent in Washington, D.C. at this year's IMF spring meeting. Now moving on, renowned economist Professor Quarami Pim is this afternoon courting public support for the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission. His comment is in reaction to the PURC's 5.8 million cedi fine slapped on board members of ECG for failing to comply with the Commission's directive to publish a doomsday timetable. Both the board and management of ECG, having separate responses to the PURC, rejected the fine, as they say the PURC lacks jurisdiction to impose any fine on them at all. But speaking on Newsfile a while ago, Professor Quarami Pim says the board members cannot absolve themselves from blame.
Officers of the company, directors are key. You know, when you are a director, people in Ghana should learn from this. I hope it's a tipping point that you don't accept to be a director if you are not prepared to do the work. And when you go there, it's not just time to go and consume tea, coffee, and take your allowance. Whenever you are taking your monthly allowance, you are signaling to the shareholders of ECG, that is Ghanaian, that you are doing the work we put you there to do. All the officers of the company are responsible. Directors are company officers, so they are responsible.
They quote section 38 of the Act, Act 538, and they say it's specific there that a default on the part of a public utility in the payment of a penalty may lead to the personal liability of a principal officer of the public utility. And they say that under section 49 of the same law, a principal officer in that law means, quotes, the person responsible for the day-to-day administration of the affairs of the public utility. That's why they are saying board members of the ECG are not responsible for the day-to-day administration of ECG and therefore are not principal officers within what the law is seeking. And therefore what has been done, they say it's not only unlawful, it is null and void and it's without any jurisdiction. So it's an empty paper as far as they are concerned, an empty order.
I think that let the lawyers fight over what is lawful and what is not unlawful. And this is why we have the court, you know. I think that in the fight to make Ghana a country of law and order, this PURC move is important. Whether it is implemented or not, a signal to directors that you are officers of the company. You know, obeying a contract is not a day-to-day affair.
Well, Professor Pim also said the public must support the PURC to succeed in its work.
I am happy that this timely reminder to directors that they have legal and judicial responsibility. And I'm hoping that the whole country will support the PURC, just as we should support the Auditor General when he also comes with his findings. And I'm sure that as we are also supporting the PURC, they themselves will also know that one day, a consumer is going to take them to court for not regulating ECG properly, so that the doomsday, you know, which is the power surge, are destroying its electrical equipment. And let me say that I'm happy it started with the ECG of all companies, because directors of ECG must know, and those appointing them must know, that you need responsible, competent professionals there. Why do I say that? Electricity is now the nerve end of every economy, as well as our security. If you do not have electricity, your network is not working. Those Ghanaians who are allowed to work at home cannot work if the network is not working. You go to a bank to try to withdraw money, they say our system is down. So ECG is at the nerve center, and therefore getting them to know this timely reminder of their judicial and judicial responsibility, I think it's time, and we should commend them.
Meanwhile, former Deputy Attorney General Joseph Quek says it will be a violation of the Companies Act to punish board members of institutions for violations committed by management.
The veil of incorporation, there are circumstances under which it is lifted. And we know that that is done mostly by the courts. When the courts realize that you are using it as a cloak to perpetrate maybe fraud or...
Moko versus Kuma.
I mean, Moko versus Kuma is very clear on that. And so it's a very strict principle which is applicable by the courts. So the lawyer's statement was very clear, whether they have the mandate to act as a court. If they don't have the mandate to act as a court and go ahead to lift the veil of incorporation and etc., then they lack jurisdiction to do what they did. And simplicity, whatever they did, they concluded that was null, void,
but
and of no effect.
Our laws generally give such entities a bit of adjudicatory powers.
Absolutely.
So they are right to take the decision, and if you disagree, you go for judicial review.
No, you see, so first of all, you have to put it in perspective. If you read LI 2413, okay, and Act 538, there are very specific provisions dealing with how to exact penal consequences for acts committed by entities. The question fundamentally is the act of the PURC in exacting the fine. Do they comply with LI 2413 and the provisions
From where you
of...
say it, what's the verdict?
It doesn't. There's a shortfall. And that's where I was coming to actually look at it. Because if you look at LI 2413 and you look at Act 538 and the specific provisions that have been quoted, it is very clear that those determinations are made by the courts after, I mean, the issue has been brought before them, and they realize that the conduct of the principal officers or officers of the company are such that we should attach personal responsibility at them. So they then go ahead and lift the veil of incorporation and find them as culprits and exact penal consequences on them.
But former Power Minister Dr. Kabad Dono disagrees with them.
I disagree. You see, if you look at our governance structure, maybe we have conflicts of laws. If you look at our governance structure, a key governance structure today is audit and compliance. Who complies with regulatory directives? It's the board's responsibility. As to whether the letter of the law or the framing of the law is defective in terms of today's reality, that's another business, that the law can be improved upon. But in terms of modern corporate governance, it is always critical to have an audit and compliance subcommittee
Board
of the board.
members are not the ones who run the day-to-day affairs of the company.
But they have responsibility. You see, there is...
They can give the directions to those who are running,
so
the managers,
if you give
the secretaries.
Who hires the managing director? It's the board. Let's not pretend otherwise. The board hires all management. And ECG, let's also be careful to appreciate that.
They don't manage
ECG, unlike VRA and unlike some other, are registered as limited liability companies by the Ghanaian state, consciously so. And so the best principles of corporate commercial governance are applicable to ECG. As to whether in the LI 2413, as to whether it's too limiting and that PURC finds itself under the strictures, it's another thing for the course. Okay. I'm not a lawyer. But in recognition of developing dynamic corporate governance, we must make it clear that the board has responsibility.
Away from energy issues, 3 teacher unions, NAGRAT, NAT, CCT Ghana, at a press conference have given government a 1-week ultimatum to pay all arrears of their Tier 2 funds to the fund managers. The recent group to join this call is the Teacher Education Workers Union, TEU. The group reiterated the call at its just-ended national conference. There's more in the following report.
Among the key issues raised by the Secretary of the Teachers and Educational Workers Union of the Trade Union Congress is the challenges facing the senior high school policy. According to Mark Crunchy, the policy needs non-political review to tackle these challenges. He also raised concerns over the quality of food being served to students in various schools.
We have a few concerns which we believe need to be critically looked at in our pursuit of quality education delivery. First, I want to mention is the free senior high technical school policy, I would say, is one of the best policies that have ever been introduced into a country. It has allowed a lot of children to attain secondary and technical education. However, these policies, after 7 years of implementation, need to be reviewed to make it even better. It cannot be business as usual. The need to involve other stakeholders in the provision of facilities is very crucial. Sometimes food becomes an issue in some schools. Parents must be ready and prepared to shoulder some responsibilities to make this policy the best of policies for our Ghanaian child. Sometimes in some of the institutions, you hear L cube. L cube. That is to say that breakfast is liquid, lunch is liquid, and supper is liquid. So L morning, L in the afternoon, and L in the evening. So L cubed. Whereas we know that normally you would take a light breakfast, but some heavy lunch, and something in the evening. And if students are forced to do L cube, how will they have the energy to even learn? And we want to employ our policymakers that it is time we review. And this one is not the politicians' review that I'm talking about. I am talking about educational sector review. A review from a union that is within the education sector and knows what is going on in this sector.
In addition to the concerns raised about the free senior high school policy, the Teachers and Educational Workers Union of the Trade Union Congress is urging the government to transfer the Tier 2 pension funds owed to its members to the table fund management.
The issue of non-payment or non-remittances of our Tier 2 and probably, so let me call it generally, our pension funds. When the month ends, there is deduction on my pay slip. Deduction to the effect of my SNIT and my Tier 2 contributions. And yet our checks indicate that when it comes to even Tier 2, government is in arrears of more than 6 months. And when we check for SNIT, sometimes it is even more. And these are monies that are supposed to be invested for my future, so that when I am due for retirement, and which I am due, I can get my full lump sum and get my full pension. But if some of these monies have not been released for investment, how do I get my full Tier 2 benefit and my monthly pension? We are asking government to, as a matter of urgency, release all arrears and its attendant interest.
However, just 48 hours after those two separate calls, we are learning the government has set up or made a move by setting up a committee to look into the issues. We're joined by Zoom by NAT General Secretary Thomas Musa for details on it. We're grateful for your time here, Mr. Musa. I'm very certain you want to know, or have you got any explanation as to why government haven't been paying your Tier 2 funds into your fund managers?
So thank you very much. Good afternoon to yourself and to all your viewers.
Grateful.
Yes, so I need to put the issues in perspective and in specific terms for the understanding of all our viewers and members. So, number one, yesterday, even before yesterday, Forum had earlier on issued a statement to the Minister for Employment and Labor Relations that if we presented to the minister for 4 issues that if they are not addressed by the 2nd of May 2024, we will embark on industrial action. That was for that matter, that is strike action. And so yesterday, that is Friday, the Minister for Employment and Labor Relations, Controller and Accountant General's Department, we have strict the National Pension Regulation, the Regulatory Authority, and other related state institutions were at the meeting with us. And these were the issues that were agreed upon. And I want to take them one by one.
Mr. Musa, before you go into that, we just want to understand. We get that your tier 2 monies weren't paid into or paid to the fund managers. Do you understand why this wasn't done?
That is why I'm taking them one by one. They are about 5 issues. So you let me finish. Okay, let me take that particular issue you've just raised. According to the controller, the first issue we needed to do about it is for them to confirm whether or not the tier 2 is in arrears for 9 months. And same was confirmed, meaning from December 2023 to March 2024, the monies have not been paid. And when the calculations were done, it's approximately 1 billion Ghana cedis. I repeat, approximately it was 1 billion Ghana cedis. That was the principal. And so the question is, what is the interest on it? That is at 3%, and they could not confirm the interest. So they were asked to calculate the interest. And the minister asked them, when will they pay the money? And then they indicated that currently the Home Ministry of Finance, they are not in town. Currently, they are in US. And therefore, when they come, steps will be taken to get the money paid. And the minister himself indeed confirmed to us that he had a discussion with the Ministry of Finance. And according to him, they were thinking of paying the money using the hybrid approach, that is some in direct cash or direct transfers and some in instruments. And these are things that we are yet to agree. We are yet to agree on them. And based upon that, a committee was put in place to work on this one together with other issues that I want to go on. So the second item we worked on, so this one, when the Minister for Finance together with his team come down, we will meet them, the committee, and that 5-member committee will meet them to iron out all the differences and refer to us, all things being equal, next week. But if they are not able to get it done, then it will be extended for them to get it done. The second item that was discussed and agreed upon, please remember that this time around they will pay the 3% penalty as per the Act 766 provides for or stipulates. So they are going to pay the 3% penalty. The second item was the issue of the dues. The controller was asked why they have not paid the dues. They explained, but the minister didn't take kindly to that. So the minister gave them up to 27th of next week. I repeat, the minister gave them up to 27th of next week. That is April 27th, for them to pay the outstanding arrears, all the unions. The unions' dues are in arrears for 3 good months: January, February, March. All they've not paid them. And the minister directed that the monies be paid by the 27th of this month, that is April 2024. Then the third item we discussed and agreed upon is the issue of the payment of the lump sum. Now, in December 2020, when the lump sum were paid under the Senate, that was the time that we're transiting from the Act 247 to Act 766. So when that transition was done, the retirees there, they were about 5,500. In fact, they were shortchanged in some way. And so the president promised that those that were shortchanged, they will be reimbursed. And when the calculation was done, the money was about 56 million Ghana cedis that was to be released to be given to these people. And indeed, according to the Ministry of Finance, that money was released and they gave a letter to that effect. But because the money could not, or the Ministry of Finance, the Minister for Employment and Labor Relations could not work on it for the thing to get to Controller and Accountant General's Department, the money could not be paid. And because the money could not be paid, when they give you this particular establishment warrant, it has a deadline. And according to the Ministry of Finance, it has elapsed. And because it has elapsed, they cannot get it paid. So the Minister for Employment and Labor Relations will have to issue a new one. And upon extensive discussions on that one too, they were given up to 27th. That's also next week of this particular month, 27th April, to make sure that they pay that particular money.
Okay, Mr. Musa. So we understand that you've reached some agreement with government, giving the 27th of April to settle all your concerns, and then when it comes that around that time, you will go to them and then get what is ready for you. I mean, after the 27th, if nothing is done at all, briefly, what then happens?
No, there were two issues that were to be cleared on 27th. That was the outstanding balance on the lump sum. That is when we were transiting from the Act 247 to Act 766, and then the issue of the dues. These two items are to be cleared on the 27th of this month. That is next week.
Right.
But regarding the issue of the payment of the tier 2, the outstanding, the arrears, the 9 months arrears plus the 3% penalty.
Right.
That one, a committee has been constituted to work on it, awaiting the minister also to come from Washington. So that one is not part of the 27th, but the committee is to revert to us. But it is also important for me to be placed on record that the issue of glyco came out. In fact, the glyco did some work on it, on this particular pension thing. And so we also demanded that the glyco report be implemented. Not only that, there were some monies also under the same report that were to be transferred to all the schemes. And because the monies are with it, it was agreed at the time that the interest on it should be on the prevailing treasury bill rate. But we observed that Senate is not doing that. So that has been added to the tier 2 outstanding arrears for them to work on it and get back to us. So we are hopeful that, and I think aside that one, we are to meet the National Labour Commission next week.
Okay.
And so it was agreed that we will write a letter, the two parties will write a letter indicating to the Labour Commission the kind of discussions we've had and the agreement and where we are. And all things being equal, we'll revert to it when we are done.
Grateful for your time here. Thomas Musa is General Secretary of NAT. Moving on, take advantage of resources and support available to you to build a bright future for yourselves, and never underestimate the power of hard work and perseverance. These were the words of President Akufo-Addo to the youth and students at the Lycée Français International Jacques Prévert de Accra. Speaking at the school's graduation ceremony in Accra, President Akufo-Addo reaffirmed commitment to make Ghana's youth one of the best on the continent.
The LFIA has been training students in modern technology and providing bilingual education for the past 60 years. It is one of the French accredited education centers in Ghana. As it marks its 60th anniversary, it is hoping to expand to meet the growing demand of modern education in Ghana. Guest of honor, President Akufo-Addo urged students to work hard as resources are available to ensure their future livelihoods.
The knowledge and skills you acquire during your time, the Lycée Français, will serve as the foundation for your future success. I urge you to study hard, immerse yourself in your studies, and strive for excellence in everything you do. Take advantage of the resources and support available to you, and never underestimate the power of hard work and perseverance. Ladies and gentlemen, the goal of government is to ensure that we live in a bilingual Ghana where both French and English are spoken, together with our own indigenous languages.
Board member of the school, Nana Addo, told journalists that the moment has come for all interested in working with international communities to take advantage of the bilingual courses to enhance their skills.
I mean, added language is an advantage to anybody. Look at Ghana, we're situated in a continent where we are surrounded by francophone countries totally. If we were to go east, west, north, all we would hear is French. So it's important for us. It opens up so much opportunities for them in terms of where they can go to school, in terms of where they can work, etc. So it's an important thing to be able to speak an added language.
Principal of the school, Catherine Doa, is confident that the school's relationship with international partners would give them exposure on the global scene.
Have always 100% of people who succeed in the final certificate, which is becoming now the Baccalauréat Français International, BFI, so that all students can go in universities like UK or also USA, Canada, without any admission test, because there are partnerships within France and those universities.
The president used the occasion to tout government's resolve to allocate more funds to train multilingual professionals in the country.
Motorists and commuters using about 10 routes around the Swami roundabout in Kumasi suffer intense traffic congestion as a result of the construction of the interchange. Contractors and engineers on the Swami interchange project have instituted a traffic management plan in the two phases of the project, but they're seeking public cooperation in the inconvenience caused by the traffic diversion. Clinton Yabwa has more on this report.
The government, acting through the Ministry of Road and Highways, has signed a contract with Mesa Rango Construction Company Limited to execute the design and construction of the Swami Interchange and Local Road Component Project. Phase 1, which is the construction of a 4-tier interchange at Swami Roundabout, is in the preliminary stage, estimated to be completed in 36 months. The construction of an overpass at Krofrom Junction, construction of an underpass at Abripo Junction, and improvement of the Western Bypass Road to allow for easy movement are in the preliminary stage. Phase 2 is 15% completed and will see the improvement of 14.58 kilometers of existing local roads and widening of the Offensu Road into a 2-by-3-lane dual carriageway. Road users within Swami, Magazine, Abripo Junction, Kejitia, Makro, Adwato, Bantama, Sofoline, Racecourse and Tafo have been alerted of difficulties in plying their roads. Resident engineer of the Associated Consultants Limited, Engineer Dennis Kusi-Boatin, is asking residents and users for positive cooperation.
We've had a lot of challenges, and first it has to do with relocation of utilities, relocation of water lines, relocation of telecom, relocation of power lines, electricity lines, and those things. And lastly, demolition or paying a compensation to property affected person. All these things are by law and they are very slow. So we will put in place a traffic diversion, which is normally what we do immediately when we start the project. We will be pleading with you and asking for your cooperation, understanding all the people who live in Kumasi, those who commute in and around the Swami roundabout, that there's going to be a traffic diversion. We are aware of all the burden and the inconvenience that is likely to create for all pedestrians, drivers, and all the people who use the place. And we are asking you to bear with us so that we can be able to work and finish the work on time.
To foster a continuous collaboration with all relevant stakeholders, the Department of Urban Roads, acting through the supervision consultant, held a second stakeholders meeting to update them on the progress of work and solicit for their input and cooperation. Deputy Director, Planning and Development at the Department of Urban Roads, Engineer Frank Osei-Sechere, says the forum is to ensure accountability and allow stakeholders to better appreciate the project.
We call something accountability. We receive taxes to undertake such projects. So it is important that from time to time you call the people who you are undertaking the project for, or who you collected the taxes from to undertake the works, to to brief them, to let them know, to let them come and see for themselves.
Reporting for JoyNews, my name is Clinton Yeboah.
Now, Blaze GVS, a pharmaceutical company, has donated pharmaceutical products worth 100,000 Ghana cedis to the Tamale West Hospital. According to the pharmaceutical company, the donation is their way of supporting in the fight against malaria in the country. The donation was done at a short ceremony in Tamale.
Malaria has become a global health threat that claims the lives of millions each year. In Ghana alone, malaria remains a leading cause of illness and death, particularly among vulnerable populations in rural areas. Despite concerted effort by health authorities to combat the disease, including the distribution of insecticide-treated bed nets and access to anti-malaria medications, many families continue to grapple with its devastating impacts. The medicines donated by Blaze GVS, a global pharmaceutical company in Ghana, are worth 200,000 Ghana cedis. The company says this is in support of the fight against malaria. Rosemont Che is a medical representative of Blaze GVS Ghana.
You know, malaria plagues millions around the world, causing a lot of death among the inhabitants of Ghana. Some of the medicines are Lonat DS, Gisunate, Gasset 125, Gasset 250, Sanforos, Imazole, and then Frex lozenges to the Quek Teaching Hospital. So it is part of our corporate social responsibility to the country as we embark on our campaign, Art for Africa, a malaria-free continent. So it's not going to stop today. We are going to do it each and any other year, because I think this is the 4th consecutive year as we donated this kind of medicines to Ghana hospitals, some of the Ghana hospitals. So we are hoping that these donated medicines will reach those who are in need, and that access to treatment against malaria would be very easy for those who are in need, and then we'll be able to help fight against malaria in our country as a whole.
The toll of malaria extends beyond physical suffering, affecting every aspect of family life. Vice Chair of the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana, Central Region, Dr. Kwabena Nimako, commended the organization for supporting the fight against malaria.
But they are helping to control this most dangerous disease in the world, that's malaria. And I think it's laudable, and what they are doing, we need to encourage them. Because a lot of companies also want to do these things. But I think GVS Blaze have taken the lead and is doing a great thing. And we are appealing to all other pharmaceutical companies also to come on board and help. And at the same time, we are appealing also to the government to help in the import duties, so that at the end of the day, this and such donations will continue, and each and everyone will benefit from such a donation.
Chief Executive Officer of the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital, Dr. Eric Kofinjedu, says that gesture would be properly utilized to the benefit of the vulnerable population.
Okay, I would like to take this opportunity to, on behalf of the management, the board, and our clients, thank Blaze GVS very much for this wonderful gesture. Like I said previously, as a teaching hospital, one of the things that we do best is to go to the communities to render specialist services. This we call specialist outreach programs. Last one we did was to KEA, where we saw over 5,000 patients. Many of the instances when we have screened them for malaria and they are positive, it becomes very difficult for us to get the necessary treatment to them. We fall on this type of donations to be able to deliver the type of treatment that they require. So I would like to assure you that this donation will be put to good use and the impact will be very great. Once again, we'd like to appeal to all companies in Ghana to mimic this example by Blaze GVS and support our healthcare delivery systems in Ghana and support the Ghana's roadmap to universal health coverage.
Through collective action and unwavering determination, the company believes that one day, malaria will be nothing more than a distant memory. Reporting for JoyNews, Richard Kwejenyako.
Now it's imagined that the scarcity of pediatric radiologists in Ghana amidst the serious exodus of health professionals from the country. Addressing students at the Ghana Academy, Senior Specialist Radiologist General Dr. Rosemont Aboagye called upon school management to strengthen their counseling systems to help students navigate their career options effectively. Peace has more in the following report.
From the beginning of 2023, several thousands of health workers are believed to have left Ghana to seek greener pastures abroad. The Ghana Health Service revealed that a total of 3,688 health personnel have left the country within the last 3 years. These include radiologists whose absence pose a significant challenge to healthcare delivery. A senior specialist radiologist general at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, Dr. Rosemond Abuaje, is worried. Speaking at a career guidance event at the Accra Academy, she stressed the need to guide young people on their career goals to consider radiology practice.
In Ghana, we don't have as many radiologists as we need, and particularly for my field of study, a pediatric radiologist. So far, I'm the only trained one. The major challenge is that because there aren't a lot of us, there is a lot that is demanded of you. There's a lot of work, a lot of things that one person or few people need to do. Children of this age, a lot of the time, they are very, very unsettled as to their career path. And this is a very important point in their lives. I believe that for all schools, the management of schools, people who manage young people, they should have a very strong and vibrant career and counseling department. They should expose the children to a wide range of career choices. If they can, they should invite people from various fields. For me, I got to know about radiology when I was almost done with med school. I mean, you would see x-rays and your teachers would try and explain them to you, but I didn't even know there was a whole field that I could pursue until I was almost done with med school. And so exposure is very important. For those that are guiding young people, expose them to a wide range of career choices.
She also urged the government to invest in the training of more radiologists to contribute towards the health of Ghanaians.
Roads are not safe. The authorities involved, please, as a matter of urgency, every day we are losing lives. Every day people are being maimed by road traffic accidents. Work on our roads for us. I want to urge government to put more money into the training of specialized doctors, not just radiology, but for all the specialist faculties that help to manage the people of Ghana. And I think that if we have good health, it will go a long way to help all of us. We should strengthen the NHIS system. A lot of the time, people don't come early because of financial constraints. So if the NHIS is working very effectively and it is helping people to access health, I think that a lot of the cases that we pick up when they are too late, we can pick up early and then we can do better for these patients.
It is crucial for young minds to consider careers in radiology to address the gap and contribute to improving healthcare. For JoyNews, Peace Vojogbesi report, read to you.
As listening to JoyNews here on midday, and we'll take a break. We'll be right back with more. Welcome back. The National Health Insurance Authority has stated its resolve to improve healthcare delivery in the country. Speaking to Joy Business, Deputy CEO of the authority, Pokria Bading, noted that the collaboration with the Korea Foundation for International Healthcare and the University of Ghana Business School will deepen policy and enhance the skill sets of health practitioners. She spoke at the second cohort training of NHIA staff organized by KOFIH in collaboration with the NHIA.
The policy cooperation agreement between the Korea Foundation for International Healthcare and the National Health Insurance Authority aims to position Ghana as the hub of universal coverage in Africa. The project includes the development of a research policy and agenda to identify strategies to improve on the operations of the scheme. It will facilitate the implementation of a health insurance knowledge sharing program that seeks to develop the capacity of NHIA staff and accredited healthcare providers in the private health insurance space. Deputy CEO of the NHIA, Pokria Bading, details the benefits of the project.
SCOFI has a collaboration with NHIA. Since 2013, it has helped NHIA in our claims management process, in our membership drive, also capacity building, and also in research. And I must say that we have trained over 80 staff in data analysis, and that's been through the help of COFI. Again, what we have done is that through COFI, we have had a joint collaboration with the University of Ghana Business School, for which we have developed an MOU with them for the Health Insurance Knowledge Sharing Center. So there was a first cohort that was trained in comparative health insurance. We had staff from NHIS and then visitors coming from Ethiopia.
Francis Asensu-Boedi is the Director for Research and Policy Evaluation at the National Health Insurance Authority.
So for this particular model, which is health policy analysis, we are organizing training for about 50 staff of the NHIA drawn from the districts, some districts from all the 16 regions of the country, and then some the other directorates within the head office to come and learn about this health policy analysis that they can improve on their skills and then help in developing policies that will guide the operations of the NHIA.
Now, as a child, he cherished his mother and believed he understood her sacrifices. But it was only after witnessing his wife's suffering and pain that he truly appreciated the depth of her sacrifices. That is the story of gospel musician Padmo Abeka, who has now released a soul-stirring song that plays homage to the exceptional women in his life, mother and wife, titled Enapa. The song is an expression of gratitude and admiration for the tireless efforts and sacrifices made by mothers and women everywhere. There's more in this report.
Padmo's inspiration for Enapa traces back to his upbringing, where he witnessed firsthand the unwavering dedication of his mother. Reflecting on his childhood, he recalls moments of hardship and sacrifice where his mother's love shone brightly. However, it was the journey of fatherhood that truly deepened Padmo's appreciation for the strength and endurance of women.
When you hear this song, it is an affirmation of our love to you, that you are really loved and cherished. Everything that you do, even though you might feel the pain, sometimes you know you feel like giving up and you don't do it. It's an appreciation. We love you. We see all that you do. And I think you've waited too long to show you how much you love you, but I also think it's not very too late. So yes, still we can do it. So let's show our moms the love they deserve. Let's show them every love they deserve.
This is not Padmo's only song. A year ago, he released Tumira. Released just this week, Enapa has already garnered acclaim as a potential anthem for Mother's Day, as Padmo's vocals and lyrics weave beautifully a song of gratitude and reverence, inviting listeners to reflect on the invaluable role of women in society.
And on that melodious note, we end the bulletin here in Newsroom. I am Elise Nyamiche Thompson. There's more news on myjoyonline.com. Thank you for your company.